Okay, guys, as promised, here are the practice problems that I told you that I would do for you so that you could follow along. You are going to hear a little yo gabba gabba in the background, so hopefully that doesn't bother you too much. So we're going to start off, we're going to pick up where we left off in class today, and we are on that second page of the packet that I gave you, and we're looking at 572 divided by 5. Remember, today we discussed that we're just going to divide like we normally would. So I know that 5 can go into 572 100 times, which is 500. Subtract and I get 72. I know 5 can go into 72 10 times. That's 50. And I get 22. 5 can go into 22 4 times. And I'm left with a remainder of 2. Up until today, we would have just written 114 remainder 2, but we want to look at this in terms of decimals. So in this case, we have 2 remaining, and we want to figure out how many times 5 can go into 2. We know that it doesn't go in any whole times, and if you were to draw a picture of this, you would tell me, here's 2 wholes, and I need to split it into my 5 groups. And this is the exact types of problems we've been doing this week, where we would then cross these out and we would change them into 20 tenths. So 2 wholes is the same as 20 tenths. Now, clearly I didn't mark all the 20 tenths there, but if I did have 20 tenths and I wanted to split them into 5 different groups, how many would go into each group? So 20 divided by 5 groups is 4. And each one of those is a tenth. So 4 tenths times 5 is 2 wholes. And we're left with 0. We can also look at this when we talk about patterns in numbers. I know that 5 times 4 is 20. If I divide this 4 by a power of 10, I would also have to divide my answer by a power of 10. So that means that 5 times 4 tenths has to be 2.0. So my answer for this problem, the whole number, is 114, and the decimal is 4 tenths. So 114 and 4 tenths. So let's look at the second one on this page is 72 divided by 40. 40 can go into 72 one time, and when I subtract, I get 32. So 32 is smaller than 40, so we have to determine what we're going to do here. 32 is the same as 32 and 0 tenths, or 320 tenths. So when I look at this, that's a lot to draw. So kind of remove those zeros, and you can see that 4 goes into 32 8 times. So 40 times 8 is 320. That means that 40 times 8 tenths is 32. So I know that 8 tenths times 40 is 32. And I'm subtracting, I have 0. So I have 1 as my whole number, and I have 1 and 8 tenths. We could check our answer by doing 40 times 1 and 8 tenths, and we should end up with 72. 8 times 4 is 32. And when I add those together, I have 720, but this wasn't 40 times 18, this was 40 times 1.8. So when I move the decimal back, I need to do the same thing here, and so 72 is the correct answer. So we now have the problem 286 divided by 20. So I know that 20 can go into 286 10 times to get you 200, because 20 times 10 is 200. Subtract, I get 86. 20 can go into 86 4 times. So 4 times 20 is 80. And I now have a remainder of 6. Again, we don't want to work with a remainder. We want to turn this into a decimal. So I'm going to make that 6 wholes. That part where we add that decimal and a 0 is that exchange from 6 of these squares to 60 tenths. I can look at the facts and see that I know that 2 times 3 is 6. So 20 times 3 is 60. And so 20 times 0.3 or 3 tenths is 6 wholes. So I know that 3 tenths times 20 is 6 wholes. So my answer is 14 and 3 tenths.
Excuse me, Mom.
I need 1 minute. Let me do this last problem here for you. We have 89 divided by 4. 4 can go into 89 20 times. 20 times 4 is 80. Subtract, I get 9. And 4 can go into 9 2 times. And I have a remainder of 1. This is one that you can reason through, or you can draw a picture. You could do any of those skills that we've already taught to figure this out. So my whole number is 22, and then I have 1 left over. So I have 1 whole that I want to split into 4 groups. You can think about that in money. 1 whole dollar split into 4 groups is 25 cents because there are 4 quarters in a dollar. So I know that my answer is going to be 22, and I know that it's going to be 25 hundredths. But let's walk through the steps to see why that works. Okay, so 4 can go into 1 whole. I know that 4 times 2 is 8, and that means that 4 times 2 tenths is 8 tenths. And 8 tenths is really close to 1 whole, so I'm going to go ahead and use that number. So 2 tenths times 4 is 8 tenths, and I subtract and have 2 tenths. If I were drawing a picture of this, I would have 1 whole that I would be trying to split into 4 groups, and you would have said to me, Miss Hugenberg, change that out for 10 tenths. And then you would have said, put those into each group, and you would have ended up with having 2 left over. That's these 2 tenths right here. 2 tenths is the same as 20 hundredths. When I exchange 2 tenths in for my hundredths pieces, I have 20 hundredths. So if I had 20 hundredths pieces and I wanted to split them into 4 groups, I would have 5 hundredths in each group. So 5 hundredths times 4 is 20 hundredths. If we use the patterning of numbers, we could say that we know 4 times 5 is 20. That means that 4 times 5 tenths is 2, which means that 4 times 5 hundredths is 2 tenths. And that's where we were here, that 2 tenths. So my answer is, there's my whole number, 22, and I have a 2 in the tenths place and a 5 in the hundredths place. So my answer is 22 and 25 hundredths. Hopefully this helped. If you still need help on Monday, I will sit down and go over it with you again. If you have any questions over the weekend, I will check it a couple times. So send me an email and maybe I can help you out. But we'll see you on Monday.